Yes, we're live. Okay. What's up, guys? It's Keith Kelfis with the Untrapped Podcast. Right now, we are live with Thomas O'Halloran from Six Figure Landscaper in Wisconsin. He has a six-figure landscaping business. He started from scratch, from nothing, and he has grown through tumultuous pains, grew a little, made more money, bought equipment, and got employees, more clients, grew a little more, took a pay cut. What's going on there? Then he had to grow through that. So we're going to talk about some of the growing pains and why it's worth it in your business, and some things that look shiny on the outside. Once you get there, you realize, oh my God, this is a lot of work and responsibility, and it's totally worth it. So if you're idealizing in your business and like, oh, if I could just have this and this, well, here's a guy who's actually done it, and he does it every day. And you also started your brand Six Figure Landscaper, where you help other landscapers with your contract templates and systems and systematized way of doing business and bidding processes that you've really nailed in a dial in to get you a predictable result. I see your ads floating around on Facebook and Instagram, and it's awesome. You're crushing it, bro. We've become friends over the past, we've known about each other for years, but over the past few months, we became friends. And we even coach each other from time to time. So it's awesome to have you on here on the Untrapped Podcast and on my YouTube channel. What's up, Thomas O'Halloran?
Hey, man, thanks for having me on here. And everything that you just said is like verbatim. You told my life story in business in about the shortest period of time that anybody could ever say anything. So it was like, I could start from the bottom and work my way up. I mean, I just tell you, where do you want me to start, man? Because I'm full of nuggets, and I want to give the gold. So
talk about right now where you're at, and some of the successes that you've had and what your business looks like, a current snapshot, and then talk about why it wasn't always this way, and then go back to how what you've been through to get to this point.
Yeah. So right now, so I own a landscaping company called TCO Landscapes, and that's in West Central Wisconsin. I've been in business for 7 years. And when I first started, this was over 7 years ago. I was floating on YouTube, and I saw a YouTube video of the one and only Keith Kelfis scroll by, and you were doing something with you're kicking a spade shovel and like creating edges in a bed. Okay. And I'll never forget this because I was just scrolling and I was like, I can do that. And I literally said, I can do that. And so then I put out a Craigslist ad, and then, 7 years later, here we are talking. So it's kind of like this whole full circle thing, which is really cool. But right now we do roughly, and it depends on the season, but we do roughly about 1.2 to 1.4 million. Our highest is 1.7 million. That was during COVID, believe it or not. But we're at healthy revenue. We do mainly commercial work. We focus a lot on hardscapes and maintenance. Like my bidding system is mainly focusing on getting large scale commercial contracts, and I think that's really important.
Well, bro, that's huge. That's a huge question I see, because I'm in Facebook groups, and it's fun to read what happens in all the comments. It's a huge level up, some of these Facebook groups, and then people come up like, well, what about bidding commercial work? And it says, like you say, that's your specialty. I'm listening. What's up?
Yeah. So no, it's all good. So I started residential. So I literally, dude. All right. So anybody who's watching this and hasn't quick,
I don't mean to interrupt you again. Your microphone is real loud. So when you get close, it's really clipping. Maybe you could turn the mic down or pull it away from you a little.
Is that better?
No, pull it a little closer to you. I'm not trying to be super technical, but it is
better.
Yeah, I guess just don't lean in and put your mouth right up on it.
I just want to scream at you guys. That's all.
You're fired up, bro.
Yeah.
Right,
so
what were you saying?
Anybody who hasn't, and this is coming through fine. Okay. Anybody who hasn't gone past, I'm talking, we watch Keith Kelfis, but anybody who hasn't watched him 10 years ago, go watch that stuff. When I was watching that newer stuff, that was the gold, when you were teaching how to do having multiple Craigslist ads accounts and things like that. I don't know if you remember those videos.
Every second of it.
So I followed that to the T. Okay. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do 5 different Craigslist ads every single day. And then I'm going to max out here. And I have 18 different emails, and I'm just going to flood Craigslist. Right. And then, so here's what happened. I was doing these one-off jobs. Okay. And I didn't even start in lawn care. Didn't start in any of that. I was doing one-off jobs on the weekends. Right. When I wasn't doing my day job. And I got thinking, I said, well, I'm starting to sell work. Okay. And it's not a lot of work, but if I can replace my weekly income with what I have right now, then I should be successful, right? Like that's just logically what would happen, right? I'm successful. So then I was like, if I can make $500 a week in my landscaping company, I can quit my job. And that's what I thought, right? And so I made the decision to look at everything and say, okay, well, I'm wasting 40 hours a week in this job right now. Now, what would happen if I just quit and put those 40 hours a week into getting new clients? And it's the best decision I ever made, because without that simple, terrifying decision, I wouldn't be where I am right now, right? And yeah, so that's kind of the basis of how like I kind of started to get rolling. And it just kind of skyrocketed from there.
I love it. So what does your business look like today? Like how many employees, what type of jobs are you guys doing? What's the average ticket per job? What's the 80-20 of what you do, and maybe some of the day-to-day processes?
Yeah. So, in the wintertime, we have about 5 employees. So we still do some snow work. We do a lot of municipality work. So a lot of city sidewalks with our mini skid steers, things like that, where, if it farts a snowflake, we're clearing it. And so it's just the consistency. But then during the summertime, we have between 7 to 10, depending on the rotation, because it is a high turnover field. So, but my role as a business owner has changed dramatically. It is very few and far between when I'm in the field at this point, because of managing a lot of the stuff that happens in the office, and basically like being the face of the business. But when we do projects, if we're doing projects, we're doing higher scale hardscapes. So like last year we did it was a $55,000 complete tear down rebuild, patios, walkways, 2 walls, 3-tier patio, fire pit in the middle, just an outdoor living space, and that takes 4 weeks to do. So it's like, that's July right there. Right. And not to mention all the things that come off to the side to where it's your maintenance, which is your keeping your lights on, paying the insurance, all that kind of stuff. And that's rotated. And that's what I really enjoy about maintenance is I know what the guys are doing, and the guys know what they're doing every single week on a Tuesday at noon, unless it's a rain day, it's always the same.
So do you still cut lawns?
Yeah, we still cut a lot of grass.
So you got maintenance, and then you do shrub trimming and pulling weeds and mulch and all that?
Yep. So when you're in the commercial realm, you're familiar with RFP, like request for proposal, or a scope of work, an SOW. Mm-hmm. And when you're getting a commercial contract, generally what happens is someone says, hey, we want you to bid this property. And this is the form that has all of the information that you need to do and bid for, and then submit the bid. And 9 out of 10 times that commercial property is going to have, we need mulching every spring. We need you to trim the shrubs. You need to do your fertilizer. We need you to cut the grass. We need you to do edging 2 or 3 times a year. And then be available if we need anything on the side, obviously for another ticket. But that's kind of the whole sweet spot when it comes to commercial, because anytime, and just like with residential though, anytime that company needs something, you are the first person that they will contact. You've already gone through all the vendor requirements, you've already got the insurance requirements. You talk to them daily or weekly, and you can sell work very easily, because you don't have to already put your foot in the door, because you're already inside the room. You know what I'm saying?
So you got like these 360 bread and butter cash flow deals from commercial contracts that keep everything going, but you're also now taking on luxury outdoor living spaces, doing higher ticket 20, 30, 40, 50,000. And these are the big rocks. Now, growing from just doing the like maintenance and then getting into the bigger ticket stuff, what are some of the cash flow crunches or some of the stresses that you've gone through to where we talked about, like, you grow a little, now you take a pay cut, or you got to learn new skills, or maybe you don't have the space to keep this equipment. Like, what have you gone through? Give us a story of something that you had a freaking meltdown, bro.
Well, meltdowns. Let's talk about meltdowns. So this was about 5 years ago. This was 5 years ago. I think we had like Snowmageddon here in Wisconsin. If there's any people watching,
Snowmageddon. Yep.
Yeah, we don't get the lake effect snow, but what we get, we're in a valley, and if it snows, and it snows really good, right? And so we had about 58 inches in the month of February alone. And I was understaffed, under-equipped, and it was the first year I really had a lot of commercial work. And I'm talking commercial snow plowing with a half-ton pickup and a 7-foot blade. And everybody can laugh at me all they want, but I'll tell anybody who laughs at anybody for the truck that they post on Facebook and say, hey, is this good enough? I can tell you right now that it is, because it was good enough for me in the beginning. And that got me out of debt, and that got me to be able to buy a house for my wife and I. So never listen to anybody that's putting you down. The number one. But when it came to like the stresses, it was okay. In order to even do this account or to do this contract that I just signed, I need to like have 3 more lawnmowers, and I don't have 3 more lawnmowers. And I'm sorry, but I also don't have $45K just sitting there that I can say, hey, give me 3 more lawnmowers. Right. So there was this really big part of me where I was building credit, personal credit, business credit, because I came from literally nothing. And I had to prove to myself and everybody else that, yes, I will pay you back. And yes, I will do this. And yes, I will, I can complete what I agreed that I was going to do. But as far as cash flow goes, almost for the first 2 or 3 years, almost every single dollar that we got went straight back into the business.
2 to 3 years. We're not talking 2 to 3 months. We're talking years. You're riding the line, flying the plane like this close to the water type shit.
No, I mean, we were okay. You know, we ate, and you know, we were having our daughters at the time. We did fine, but what I mean by everything else other than mortgage. I mean, no vacations, you guys. Like mortgage. Let's see, we had a car payment because we had to get a van, and then food, and let's see,
gas, phone, electric,
you guys. That was literally it. But here's the thing too, what that was for us, like when you're in the middle of this and growing a business, this is what I live for. Like, this is what I live for. Like, me being able to become successful and serve people is what I live for. So when, you know, you say skate in the plane, don't screw up or else you're going to dip. It wasn't like that at all. It was gladly giving our money to the business to scale it.
So you're maniacally focused.
Yeah, I like that word. That's a good one. Yeah,
I took it from Robin Sharma. His book, The Everyday Hero Manifesto, was fire, and I recommend it to my friends, and now they're anyways, keep going.
I love Robin Sharma, and I just saw that ad for his book, and I was like, that's funny you brought that up. I've read a few of his other ones too, The Monk and the something or other.
The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, you were talking about snow, and you reminded me of what I was in the Facebook group last night. It's like midnight, and this one landscaper post this, you know, they scribble out the number and name of the customer, but they put an argument they have with the customer. Basically, he did, you know, I heard you do 50% contract, 50% cash with these customers, where I don't mean cash, I mean they just pay per push.
Yep.
And so and they pay an amount for this season. I don't know what it was. I think it was like $1,200 or $2,400 for the season, just a small residential client.
Sure. Yep.
And it didn't snow as much this year as it has in previous years, but you know, they're on for salt and all these other things. So the customer had said something like, well, hey, it didn't snow at all this season. And we're just wondering, like, you're still billing us for March and April. Was their contract, right?
Yeah.
He says, well, I'll make you a deal. The lawn care landscaper snow guys, like in the Facebook group, he's like, well, you know, if you sign up with us for the entire year of 2023, cutting your grass, I will waive the 2 months of March and April because it didn't snow anyways, and we'll just take care of you as a customer. And then the customer comes back. He's like, well, it didn't really even snow but a few times. And so I'll pay for March, but I'm definitely not paying you for April. And he says, well, hey, man, you signed a contract and we take risk on both ends. And if it had snowed like crazy, I wouldn't be asking you for more money. And that's why it's kind of contract. There's a little bit of skin in the game on both sides. And it just happened to be this year. But I mean, we got employees, we got this. And the customer didn't care. The customer was like, I, me, my. And then all these people in the comments were backing him up because this is like contractors talking to contractors. So when you got a customer who, like, you've got a business and employees and workers' comp and payroll and all this stuff in contracts, and when you got a customer who was does that customer, and he was very professional, but does the customer need to be professionally educated, or is there time for emotion? You get upset about stuff like that? I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. So I mean, that happened to me what was it? to answer the question originally is, whatever you do, try to keep the emotion out of business. And that's really hard for when you build something, because when you keep your, because we put our hearts and our souls and our literal sweat, blood, and tears right into this stuff, but you got to keep that like emotion away, because it will show through the phone call. It'll show through the visit. Right. Now, some people just can't learn or aren't interested in learning. So like this client of this guy's already had his mind made up before he even talked to this guy. There's we as human beings, we cannot change anybody's mind. We can persuade in one way or the other.
A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still.
100%. And so, this guy already made up his mind, and it would have been pretty clear, after that second message, that it would just be like, I'm not even going to try. It was a $1,200 contract. Thank God it wasn't, $120,000, because here's the thing too, when you get into the commercial stuff versus the residential, commercials they're just going to say, yeah, light year for snow. You won out this time. They'll laugh it off and send you the check, and then they're going to re-sign for you the next year. When it comes to the residentials, what they do is they're pinching their pennies. They're looking at their wallet. You can't blame them for that, but you also have to make sure that they know the risk. And anytime I sign, and we don't do a lot of the residentials anymore, but anytime I've signed with residentials, they say, so what's the benefit of me going seasonal? Say, well, here's the deal. 9 out of 10 times when I have a client that goes seasonal versus per push, some years they'll lose out and we'll win out, and some years you guys win out and we'll lose out. But over about a 3-year period of time, you guys win. We're always out there regardless. Another thing with snow too is they're paying a premium. If it snows on Christmas morning at 2 a.m., we're out there. And if we're out there at 2 a.m. on Christmas morning while they're snuggled up cozy in their PJs, having hot cocoa with their family, we need to make sure they know that that shit doesn't just happen. Because we got
bro, I've done snow 15 years. I did snow 2 Christmases in a row. And I'm talking, you want to talk about having your feelings hurt?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And so that's it. And then one of the main reasons, and here's the thing, residential snow is great, especially if you can get it in. But the biggest thing for me was with residential, and why I branched away from the residential market kind of completely, was I need it to be done by 7. It's like, I'm sorry, you're at the end of the list. We can't confirm or deny that you'll ever get done before 7. Or, hey, the snowplow came back again. I have, 12 employees out there right now. I can try to get someone there at some point, but it's going to be a while, and so it was those little nuances that were just driving me kind of insane.
Because you're a good guy, you want to do a good job, and you got a lot of contracts out there. So that's an interesting thing, because I'm always fascinated by the for lack of a better word, the emotional side of dealing the strength and tenacity of growing a business. Because you can have structures and systems, but at the end of the day, you have employees, which are people. They're your internal customers, so to speak. You take care of them, and then you have all your clients that you actually care about for real. And then when you are constantly letting people down, this part of my brain, there's this chasm. It says, which I'm trying to connect these dots, and we have a ton of comments coming in here too, and we will get to them. It's when you're a good person and you want to do a good job, you want to take care of your customers and be there on time, you do everything in your power. And if you're late, you call. But when you times that by, 100, let's say you've got 500 or 700 clients and you got 15 to 25 employees, and then now you're dropping the ball repeatedly. If you got something going on in your personal life, the systems and structures and policies go so far. Great. But so the chasm I was talking about is part of my brain has thought of could a person, this sounds really weird, so let me finish, be almost like a criminal mindset? It's a moral dilemma to be able to put your word out there with so many people. And you T. Harv Eker in The Millionaire Mindset says, you make a really big promise, and then the whole audience is and then you grow into that promise. So but sometimes if you can't grow into the promise and you have multiple equipment breakdowns, and now then you have a breakdown. So I'm fascinated by the next step is caring even more and
Yeah.
doing everything. So it's like, that's what I'm talking about. The
I get it.
crunches that you go through in growing the business and the emotional tenacity, because
Yeah.
some business owners that I have met and talked to that have multi-million-dollar businesses are awesome. But what I mean is some of them are like, it's almost like they've become so desensitized that you question their morals because they've been through so much. They have to just put everything into like a gray area. Talk about that whole thing and growing.
So real quick fire. At our peak for snow, at least we had 125 clients. That might be a lot for some people. That might be nothing to some people. It was a lot for us. Okay, we had 30 commercials, and the rest were residentials. Now we had to keep the rest of the commercials were fine. We were getting those done, no problem. It was easy getting them taken care of. But when it came to the residentials, those were what was causing all the problems, all the issues that we were having. It was the, hey, so-and-so didn't clear the little corner on my back deck. Sorry, lady on Maple Street. I'll get back to you if I can, And so what I knew was we weren't doing the job that we said we were going to be able to do for these smaller clients. And here's the thing in the green industry, there's always enough work for everybody. And there's always a new guy coming in the area. And that's when, for any of the guys that are at a spot right now that are like, I mean, I've had this lady for 5 years, like, but it's just a waste of my time now, but I care about her. You give that to somebody and just say, hey, I trust you. You're getting started. This is Sally. She's amazing. She pays her bills, yada, yada, yada. It's going to teach these people. It's going to teach these clients or these contractors how to do what they need to do. And that's really important. But as far as you were talking about breakdowns and like I know a good handful of people that make, well into the 7 figures in this business. And interestingly enough, okay, out of the 5 people that I know pretty well that make over 7 figures in the green industry, like 4 of them are miserable and 1 of them's actually happy. And I'm just going to say that too, right there. And I was borderline that too. Now, 4 of them, when you say like you question, they've been through so much shit, and they've been, like you said, desensitized, and it's not this whole thing where money's bad, because money is not bad. Money is a great tool. Okay. But when you're actually building something and then, okay, I want to make $1 million, you make $1 million and then you look at everything and you're like, that's it. That's it. And I feel like this, I thought that all my problems would go away. Right. Absolutely not. And that's why it's so like 6-figure landscaper. People ask me like, why didn't you call it 7-figure landscaper? I'm like, so, cause here's the deal. 6 figures is anywhere between $100,000 all the way to $999,999 freaking dollars. That is an enormous range. Okay. You want to join the 7-figure landscaper program, bro? Call me on your spare time. We'll do that. But like, when it comes to this, like that spectrum right there, when you break 100,000 and then you're growing, that's when you figure out how much you want to grow. Because I mean, you can hit 100K and you're like, this is great. I want to double it. Quickly double it. Fine. It's easy to do after you've hit that 100K. When we did our first, we pretty much doubled our revenue every single year. And then when we hit 350,000, and I was like, all right, cool. Next year we're doing, we're going to try to hit 700. 700 came really easy. And it was at about 750K is when my mind started going nuts, dude. Like my family life, like my wife would say, I wish you did something else. And it was like, my wife has only known me as a landscaper, as a business owner, and like, that's when things started to shift. I'm like, okay, I got 3 kids now. I got a wife. It's not just me. It's not just me pushing a shovel and a rake and a snowplow and shit. Like, I have to think about my family as a whole and figure out what works best for everybody, and man, yeah, there's been years I was crying behind a steering wheel while I'm plowing snow for, 23 hours, 32 hours at a time. My record's like 32 hours.
I've cried behind a steering wheel.
I think we all have.
I've experienced every emotion while landscaping and plowing snow. You're weed whipping fucking with headphones on. The customer's like, oh, is that dude tripping on something?
Yeah. So yeah, man. I mean, I felt it all. And or where you're in such a good mood and then somebody calls you with some bullshit news and then like you throw your phone and you just scream to the top of your lungs at your windshield just to get it out before you get to the next quote, right? Like all of those things,
Bro,
man.
when I had a landscaping job, I will never say any names, but we worked for this guy. And I didn't know what he was going through because I just had a job at that time, bro. He would flip out. He was so stressed out, and one thing after another would always break. Because you could go there on a Sunday, and he'd be screaming in the garage, fixing a broken clamshell bagger or backpack blower or something. And I literally watched this dude couldn't get the backpack blower started during fall cleanups, and I think he was like 40 something at the time. He started punching the backpack blower, and he sat in the middle of a residential street like he was like 10 years old, punching the backpack blower, screaming. And we were like, oh my God, what's and then all of a sudden he shook it off and it was totally normal running his business again. And he's like a successful guy, but like I didn't understand. I'm like, this dude needs medication. But then when you, it's like the whack-a-mole game. You keep hitting it, it's popping up somewhere else.
And it's popping up all over the place.
So when you're imploding because you're trying your best and you just keep getting your ass whooped, you might end up in the middle of the street crying, punching a backpack blower. So
yeah, dude. Yeah. Go ahead.
The question is, when you were stuck at like, or when you grew from like 150 to 250 to 350 to 550, what are some of the things that you went through that you had to like, all right, I got to get a grip? Like, did you just hire more people or did you put some policies in place? What are some of the very specific systems that help?
So the specific system. So, and this isn't just a personal plug here because it's not. The whole reason why I have six-figure landscapers because it works, right? But the first system I needed, my bidding was all over the place. Like I couldn't formulate something that was like consistent, right? I speak consistency. And so I needed to learn a way where I can bid and I can bid quickly and consistently. So I came up with the bidding system, not even close to what it's like now, but that was one of the systems. I also had to really make sure when I was hiring guys that I was hiring appropriately. Like, who am I hiring this? Please do not, for anybody out there, you got a buddy who needs a job. That's great. Okay. That's great. Now, unless this guy is actually an employable person, don't hire him. And the reason I say that is because that can shift a lot of emotions. It can ruin friendships. If you got to let this guy go, which you probably will have to let this guy go, it's not going to be a good time. Right. So I had to do like a no bias employee run through and say like, okay, what do I need to do? I found out what was attractive for employees to work with. So we started doing, weekly direct deposits every Friday. Really just trying to like sweeten the pot a little bit for everybody. And then, and that was what was important. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you clear. I was taking a quick picture.
And so when you're able to sweeten the pot for, your employees, gamify things a little bit, Josh Latimer, he talks about gamification all the time. And if you can gamify things and, have your guys and gals over for a barbecue, it's great. Another thing that I did too was like, this is such a man field. There's just a bunch of testosterone all over the place. Right. There was 2 women that have worked for me and it was the best decision I've ever made. Right. Because it shut the dudes up. The locker room talk was out the window. It was like, hey, we're grown men here and we're also respectful. And this lady is running circles around your ass.
I've seen that.
So everybody out there that's like, this is well, yeah, that's cool. But guess what? Sally can do it too. So sit down and be quiet. Right. So I was able to kind of diversify the staff a little bit. And, obviously there's different skill levels, but that really helped. And that helped with morale because without employees, I can't do any of this, So bidding consistently and employees was number 1, but then, and employees was number 2, but really, really growing, I think I had to get into equipment and that was difficult. The difficult part about getting into equipment was, anything that I needed to grow was over 15K, right? And we all know what cash flow looks like. And we know that you can make $100,000 in your business and, you can only make personally 30K, right? or less, depending on how much you spent on other things. So like the cool price tag that people see, like, hey, look at this $1 million company. That's great, you guys. Yeah, that's awesome. Now look at this $1 million company and look at how much it cost this company to make $1 million, right? Did it cost them $750,000 to make $1 million? It very well could have, if not more. So it's all relative, you guys. It's all relative. There's a sweet spot, I think, and I don't think anybody will ever find it. But if it was for me, my sweet spot was about 500K.
I've heard that.
Yeah, that's where things were like really good, manageable. We were still
Now,
busy.
Why?
So
500K in properly priced, quoted, and performed work, right?
Correct. So in efficiently done work, properly quoted and priced. Let's see. We were still busy, but weren't running around like a chicken with our heads cut off. And believe it or not, there was some free time somewhere in there, and that was honestly, that's probably as happy as I've ever been in business, was around the 500.
Were you in the field? We got a question coming in real quick, and I see your questions, but I do want to get to all your questions, but he said, Christopher Bioski, were you in the field at 500K?
Every once in a while I'd be in the field. Yeah. So, the hardest thing for me to do was to train a hardscape foreman. And I still believe it's one of the hardest things to do, because you as a business owner, right, are going to, like, you're the best face of your business. And you also know what you want something to look like. When you have that job, you quoted this job, you know what it should look like. And if you
what's your definition of in the field? Because if you're out, so if you're out and you're driving around collecting materials and bringing them back to the job site, that's in the field. If you're out doing quotes and property walks and meeting customers, is that in the field?
I don't consider that being in the field.
So in the field is you're on the job sites working, doing labor, or doing anything that's getting the production done. So that would be sales and marketing would be okay.
Yeah. So I mean, there were times where I was in the field. Definitely times I was in the field but there was a lot of times I wasn't, because half of that revenue was maintenance that I didn't touch. Like I think a really good thing to do is to get a good maintenance crew out there and give them the keys to the castle and say, okay, here you go. And obviously check in on them. But the second you give them that free reign a little bit, then you can focus on this part of your business, whether it's landscape or hardscape or whatever, and push forward into that section. And so when I had my landscape or my maintenance going, I was able to focus on the pretty jobs, right? And I had 2 guys that I was training on how to do these pretty hardscapes and these, intricate landscapes.
That's a key thing you just said. I want to cap that. While you gave the reins to a guy to do on a maintenance crew, you also went out in another crew as a technician. You're the owner of the business, but you worked, and you say pretty jobs or whatever. You went out and you kept working, producing not only owner's pay, but a technician's salary. So you were out there still hustling in the field. That's very important to cross the bridge and the cash flow gaps that I'm talking about, because if you just get out of the field and there's not enough revenue generated per truck per day, then you take a huge pay cut. So because you also can afford to pay yourself
I was going to say, if you even get paid at all, once that gets down to that, sometimes you can figure out, like, how do I even pay myself? Anyway, keep going. Sorry.
Because I've seen, owners, they'll have a couple crews out, and then the boss is out there doing another landscape job. He's working, and they're like, well, why is he working? He's like, because I need to make money. You're like, what are you talking about? You need to make money. You're the owner of the company. Aren't you supposed to just be in the office or meeting with customers? But it doesn't work that way, because this is a gradient. It's not, you don't just boop change. It's a gradient where you're constantly now.
And sometimes that gradient can go from this side, and then it can teeter back this way, depending on the year you're having too. Don't think it's just a one-side coin here. I mean, like, we got, like, dude. So I'm telling you this. So we.
And your wife is like, "Where are you going? I thought you were out of the field." And I'm going to work.
Literally, I'll have a cop. She's like, "Isn't so and so doing that?" And I'll look at her like, and she's like, "Okay." There's a picture. So I'll have to tell you, there's a picture of me So I was in the field 2 times last year. Okay. One, so we do the Menards distribution center. We do all the maintenance at the DC up here in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. That's like the big headquarters, all that kind of stuff. Larger jobs with our guys. Sweet. That's awesome, Christopher. I like that. That's a good place to be, man. So we were doing the DC, we were doing all of that, and John Menard would say, hey, can you do this? We're building a new, and all of these, and you can't really see it, but all of these blueprints on my ceiling there, that's all Menard's work that we've done at the headquarters.
Oh,
and
nice.
Yeah.
This dude's got landscaping blueprints on his ceiling. Can you do me a favor, anybody watching right now on the live stream? You'll get the replay on the Untrapped podcast on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, iCloud, iHeartRadio, everywhere. If you want to listen to this later on Untrapped podcast, can you give us a thumbs up, smash the heart button, or any of that stuff? But keep going.
Yeah, no worries.
Oh, and if you hear me sniffing, I literally just got back from doing landscaping quotes, and it's cold out and rainy, so sniffing.
It's all good.
All right, keep going.
So he asked if we can do this big install on one of his courtyard builds, and it was like, hell yeah, we're going to do that. This guy's worth like $24 billion, and it's just a great opportunity to be a part of something huge. And so I was a part of that because I knew I wanted to be in the field for that, and I was in the field for that for 3 weeks. The second time I was in the field was when, and this is the one time where I was really upset with all of my guys. It was a rain out. And we had a whole truck full of sod showing up to this new construction, and it rained until noon. And I went and I looked at it, and I'm not trying to like blow any smoke about anything right now, but I looked at it and I looked at the lawn and I said, you know what? I'm going to lay this sod. I laid the sod, a whole truck's worth of sod by myself. And I got home at 10 o'clock at night. Now, I'll share a picture with you another time of me walking and doing these plywood boards where I am blacker than stone from all the dirt and water. It was my wife dropping me off a sandwich, and she took a picture of me, and I was alone doing it. And I sent out, and this is where I could have probably done something different. I sent out a text to all my guys. I said, hey, I'm out here working, not mandatory. I should have said it's absolutely mandatory, because then I was sitting there and I finished it all by myself. But I tell you what, that was one of the most rewarding jobs I've ever completed. So 2 times I was in the field last year, and that's at 1.2 million. So,
bro, isn't it amazing when you're in those positions and you pull that warrior out of you? And a part of me likes the pain and suffering, because I go, bro, I still got it. I still got it. I'll go out here on a Sunday in the dark. I'll show these moves what's up.
Dude, yeah. And so then I get home. My wife's like, man, that was a rough day. And I said, yeah. And we just talked, and I was bitching and complaining. And we had a little bit of leftover sod. And so I had like a pallet and a half of leftover sod. I had it on the trailer. We came home. The next day, dude, I was so pumped and just feeling it, man. I'm like, honey, this whole section, we're just going to rip it up real quick, and we're just going to sod this. I'm tired of seeding it. And we did. And so the next day I laid more sod, but with my wife and my kids. It was the coolest thing ever. So, Christopher, you will be in the field, and it's okay if you're in the field, and it's okay if you got to jump in somewhere and do something, because it's going to happen. I don't know. I mean, I know business owners. In fact, the one of 5 guys that I know that have $1 million companies, the one that's happy still goes into the field every once in a while to do something. It's the guys that don't do shit anymore, that they just have these eyes like crazy buzzards, and they don't want to. It's just the way it is, man.
Lose the connection.
Yeah.
Don't get dirt under your fingernails.
Don't forget where you came from, man. This shit can get ripped from underneath you at any second. You could die going to the store tonight. You don't know. Don't forget where you came from. Have fun doing it. But yeah, that's about as philosophic as I'll get on this one. It'll have to be another meeting when I go full philosophy major on you. But yeah, I get it.
I love it.
You got a bunch of questions coming in there, Keith?
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of questions popping in here. I did want to say before I get to them, we did this whole landscape makeover of backyard. It was all dirt because they had construction and a pool installed. So we brought in like 30 yards of topsoil, like 6 pallets of sod. We built garden beds and some boulders and stuff. And like, I had employees not show up on the weekend. They went out and partied or something. And I literally came home Friday night so discouraged, and because I had so much shit going on and I hadn't had a day off in like 30 days or something.
Oh yeah.
And I had to go finish it. I thought we were gonna just like, work till like 1:00, and now I'd be out there till dark. And my wife is like, I'll help you. And then my dad helped me, and my wife and my dad. And I text the customer, hey, I don't even think I said anything. My wife and my dad came and worked their asses off with me, and we got all that shit done by like 2:00, and then it was raining, and it was the most encouraging day I ever had. And I was out there covered in dirt doing sods.
Yeah, dude. So
And but just having, we call it moral support, the times that, bro, I love my wife, man.
Yeah, dude. I get it.
She's literally came up through the trenches. So we got some questions coming in.
Yeah, my father-in-law's helped me out a few times, and he's a rigid old like U.S. Marine, and he'll be like, Jesus Christ, what's going on here? And then he'll just like pick something up, and I'm just like, yeah, get in here, and it's just like, it makes you feel like that's what you need. That's like my bonding with my father-in-law. Like go throw boulders over there or something. I don't know, and it takes a village, man, and that moral support is really important.
Absolutely. All right, so I'll get to these questions real quick. Lindsay Ives. Hey guys. Hey, what's up?
Hey.
Fresno Solar Cleaning and Pressure Washing. Hey, Keith and Tom. Hey, what's up? Nate Keens. Hello. What up, doe? David Woodall. Respect. How are y'all doing? Now let me get down to some more. Chevelle Israel. Tyler T. Brunner Lawn and Landscape. Justin Eubanks. Money Mentality Trucking. 18 Wheeler said, boring. Well, I don't know. Go watch some mowing tall grass videos. That'll be fun.
Sorry.
Lawnscapes of America. Unfortunately, in some commercial bids, there are clauses where if there isn't a certain amount of snow, this is an older comment.
That is true in some commercial bids. Now, that is also something to consider when you're signing a commercial contract. You're totally right. If you're under the average, there's actually like a floor and ceiling price. So anybody that's been in commercial long enough, there's floor to ceiling in certain contracts. That's why I always push to sign your own contract and make sure.
I'll be back in 15 seconds. My studio's in my house, and it looked like a straight up eagle is in my backyard, and I have these little Yorkies.
I got stuff to talk about, but you got that floor to ceiling pricing, and so I try to make it so people sign commercial clients will sign my contract. I've done it both ways, and so you do mostly shopping centers. Yeah, no, and I'm assuming it's probably through a larger agency that just owns these shopping centers, and they just send it straight out and say, hey, this is what it is, and you better like it, otherwise we're not signing. So, there's those times where commercial's good and commercial isn't the right fit, and there are commercial contracts that I will say no to because of that. If it's a low ceiling or if it's a low floor price versus, a super high ceiling price, I can't bank on having, the average of 80 inches of snow. So I'll have to make sure that, that revenue is coming in somewhere. So Lawnscape of America, you're totally right. And maybe next season, see if they can sign your contract, because if they can sign your contract, then that stipulation isn't added in there and they are aware of that. So, and shopping centers are great too, but we do a couple malls, not like huge malls, but we do a couple malls, but they're all under our contract instead.
Love it.
Christopher, he's coming in hot today, huh? Prefer business, just excuse him buying a truck from yeah.
I'll read the comment for those on the Untrapped podcast listening. Christopher Bioski, hope I said your name right. I can relate. For me, buying equipment for my business is just as exciting as buying a truck for myself. That brings more satisfaction and makes me more proud, especially when your focus is growth. I do not get upset about not being able to spend it on flashy stuff for myself. It's a certain mind frame. Some have it, some don't. But those who can wait will be rewarded for sure.
100%. So what you just said about like able to spend it on flashy stuff for myself. You know what the flashy stuff for myself is? It's the equipment, right? Like it's the skid steer, you know. I want to roar it up, and it's the farm that I live on, and the hay that I just threw up in the hay mow so I can, you know, grow a farm, all that shit. This office, you know, like the office that I built right here. We built this 2 years ago. You know, I'm not in my attic, you guys. So I've had guys say like, look at this guy saying that he knows how to bid shit and he's in his crusty old attic. This isn't my attic, I promise you. This is not my attic. This is my office. Below me right now is my shop. So yeah, you know, like it's you know, that's the fun stuff. I don't have fancy watches. I don't even own a watch. My wedding ring was $200, you guys. My wedding ring was $200, and my wife's wedding ring was like $800. We got married in total, all said and done, for under 10K. We're like, nice. That's cool. Yeah, you know, like we don't need that.
Our wedding in 2012 was 14K, bro. I was huffing so much mulch to pay for all that cash. So what he's saying is funny about buying flashy stuff. Have you Corey Ballard from Ballard Products?
Mm-hmm.
We're also affiliated with them. They have all the accessories for your lawnmower, weed whip, everything you like do. There's like 200 or something. Maybe there's more, hundreds of products. Actually, if you go to their website on ballard-inc.com and use promo code Keith10, you can save 10% on everything there. But they post this funny stuff on Instagram. It'll be like the husband has his hands over his wife's eyes, like he has a big surprise for her. And she's like, "Oh my God, what could it be? Is it a new house? Is it a vacation home?" Is it like, and then it's the next scene. He opens her eyes, and it's a brand new lawnmower for himself or something. And she's like, "Oh," it's like he posts all this funny shit, bro.
Yeah, so it reminds me.
Or for the business, I mean, it's a business purchase.
100%. You know, so I'm 32. So 2 years ago. It was right before my 30th birthday. And I was like, I didn't even think I was going to survive until 30. So I got to do something. And so like my wife kind of knew what was going on, but like didn't really know what was going on. Anyway, I left for the day. I said, I got to go to work. And I brought the equipment trailer and I came back home with a mini excavator. I was like, it's my birthday present, you know? And it was the best birthday present ever. And we actually used it for obviously for the business, but also we ended up burying a time capsule as a family with the mini excavator. So I had to find a way to intertwine the purchase with you know, burying a time capsule with the kids. But you know, you get so involved into business, the new toy that you buy is going to be your flashy stuff.
At what point do you say, I got to get this mini excavator? I literally have to get it today, right now. Like what is the point where you've gone through enough pain of doing it the hard way, and what mathematically makes sense when growing?
So at that point we were doing a lot of retaining walls, and I was renting excavators, and they're not cheap to rent. And I didn't need anything large. I just needed a mini excavator, you know, something that would, you know, we called it the gatekeeper because I could articulate the tracks in, and I could go through chain link fences, and I could dig a trench for a base row, for a lot of drainage work. If you were, you know, laying corrugated pipe, you know, you could just get it done in an hour and your hourly rate on that excavator was larger. So, yeah, it was just the pain of actually physically shoveling my back. I didn't want to shovel anymore. And we were building boulder walls.
So were you like, you got plenty of money coming in? You're like, we're just going to do it. Or it was did it feel like a big reach?
It was it. We were in a good spot. It wasn't completely out of the question. And it was something that, made sense for us at the time. And I have a buddy down in the Milwaukee area. His name's Luke, and he's got a beautiful business down there, HPM. And I've watched him absolutely flourish. And I just sold him that mini excavator because he's been trying to get into a mini excavator for years. And I sold it to him last fall because we don't use that as much anymore because we're so heavy focused into the commercial maintenance. So, but it was one of those decisions to where it was like, okay, I need this now because number one, impulse buy. Number 2, I'm almost 30. And number 3, this is actually going to do us some good in the business. And I'm glad I did, because it was a huge lifesaver.
Okay. So what is like your protocol for briefing and dispatching crews in the morning and letting them know what work needs to be done and the detail of the
They know that
property?
already. They know all that already.
And
So
who's the one communicating? Do you have a central CRM, or are you texting them all? Do they have pre-written work orders where you've written everything down, or is it all an email chain? Like, what is it that takes the stress off you so you can juggle all these things at once? And how did you?
Yeah, totally. So what we do on Monday mornings is we have a tailgate. And so the Monday morning tailgate, it's like, coffee, donuts. We talk about the week. If the week goes as planned, this is what every day should look like. If the week doesn't go as planned, then we can, reassess moving forward. But during our tailgates, the biggest thing is, I don't have to tailgate with the maintenance crew because they already know what's going on. They just go. So they show up at the shop at 7, they load up, and then they go. And then generally they're back between like 4 or 5 o'clock. Rinse, wash, repeat. If it rains, they're out on Saturday. Okay. Well, when it comes to like the landscape crew, 9 out of 10 times what we do is we have our Monday tailgate, and then I check in daily with them over the phone to the foreman, and I ask them, how are things going? Are we up to scale or up to par for today, which is Tuesday, right? So yeah, everything looks good. I'll let you know. And that just cuts down a lot of drive time, a lot of BS, and another thing I tell them is I say, I don't sugarcoat anything for me. Please just tell me how it is. Like, if you broke something, just tell me. If things are going to hell, I need to know. Just tell me. I'm not going to be mad at anybody. The more communication that's open, the better it's going to be for everybody, because then we can find a solution. You know what I'm saying? So I highly recommend weekly tailgates and doing them on Monday mornings. Have them come in a little earlier and just have a box of donuts and a little bit of coffee. That's all they need. They're not even going to eat the donuts. It's just the fact that you had donuts there. They're going to be like, okay, he kind of gives a damn, right? That's what's worked for us. And then, a couple times a year, we'll do a barbecue at the farm or something, get them out there and just not talk about work at all and just do something.
That makes sense. So what I'm actually picking up is what you're not saying is that when you have the right people, things go a lot smoother. Like with my crew, like, I have all the quotes and everything communicated on Jobber, and it's hyper specific, exactly what needs to be done. The line items are very detailed. And then if it's a job that it's more than just maintenance and it requires, digging, planting, transplanting, building rocks, whatever it is, I will just meet with the guys there in the morning and I'll do a very detailed property walk. And they also, on their phones, they get a detailed list, and I'll go down the list with them and I'll explain in hyper specific detail for like 20 minutes. It could be a job that's, 10 grand, exactly what needs to be done, and each day what it'll look like, and about the amount of progress that I think, just off doing this for years and years, of about what should get done and when it should get done by. And I'm like, if you can get all this done by Thursday, then there's a $500 cash bonus in it for you, or something like.
Always good. Yeah. If
some type of incentive.
If they're under hours, always good. Yeah.
Yeah. And then if it's like, so stuff like that. And then for the most part, do you need anything? They have literally everything that they need, and they get started. Now I'm like, all right, I got to go do quotes, or I got to go meet with this client, or I got to do this thing. And then days go by, and sometimes I don't even get a phone call unless it's, hey, I accidentally broke this underground sprinkler line. I'm like, just tell the customer to not turn on their sprinklers, and then can you fix it? Yeah, I'll fix it. Or, hey, all right, I'll come check it. And then I might have to go fix a sprinkler head or something. And then
and that's good. And going that deep with your guys, it's super important too. I've used Jobber in the past. It's a great software. And, I did like how they can, you can have like a list of like, and then before they complete the job, it's like, are you sure all this stuff was done? And it's like, yeah, I'm sure. And then it'll automatically invoice, which is really cool. So
if you sign up with my link and my exclusive discount before the 31st, they're doing a huge promo. It's getjobber.com/Keith. Sign up before the 31st with my link, and they're doing this huge promo for March. Anyways, keep going.
No, that was it. I've been looking at this Barefoot Gardener. I've got time for about 3 more comments, if that's cool with you, Keith.
Yeah.
I got to grab my kids from school. Because I am a father. Oh, can you go back to that one dude quick? I think it was that Barefoot. Yeah. All right. So how long did it take you to replace your 40-hour job? Can you please also remind us what you used to get yourself out there? So for me to replace my job, it went pretty quick, man. It was like about a month of me hustling out there. For me to get out there, in the beginning I used Craigslist, but then I just pounded out on Facebook advertisement and I hit the streets. Like I put my boots to the ground and I had to learn how to do it, right? Door hangers, all of that kind of stuff. I also started sponsoring things. I'd get like $300 from a job, and then I'd go and sponsor the local soccer team because it was $250. Cool. Now I have $50, and now my business is literally plastered all over all of these kids' soccer mom shirts. And anytime anybody wants landscaping, the soccer mom is going to be like, "Oh yeah, Tommy's team has TCO Landscapes. Let's call him." Those are like local sponsorships are so important, and we got to a certain point. Eau Claire has a semi-pro baseball team where we went up to, and we'd actually do semi-pro sponsorships, and we'd have banners in the stadiums and stuff, and it was really cool. So work your way up, man. That's definitely how to do it. But to remind you how to get there, how I got there, man, just focus. You got to focus. You can think about a million other things to do in your business, but nothing is worth it unless you can sell something. Make sure you focus on the sale. Like in my other company, I say success starts with the sale. I don't care if you've got the brand new mower, the brand new piece of equipment. If you can't sell the freaking job, it's not worth it. Focus on the sale, learn your bidding, and do it right the first time, and then focus on the fancy shit, right? So Barefoot Gardener, I'm sure you're going to be in a great spot. It doesn't take long if you hustle.
If you hustle.
My husband and I both work in the field. It's so important. Absolutely. That's awesome. And there's a local company here. They actually just retired, but they were like in their late 50s. They worked for 20 years together, just cutting grass. It was, it's super important. Fantastic. Ooh, Damien from Ireland. I'm an O'Halloran. So, say hello to the people over there for me.
Mr. Tidy Garden. What up, though? All right, bro. How can everybody find you?
So you can find me on, you can go to sixfigurelandscaper.com. That shows you my main bidding system. We did launch an app on March 1st. And so, it is in super young beta stage, and it is as cheap as it's ever going to be right now. Find me on Facebook at Six Figure Landscaper. You can also message me on Facebook at Six Figure Landscaper. I'm on my phone. I'm working all the time. After I get my kids, I put them down to bed after this, and I'm going to come right back here, and I'm working on new app updates. So, I'm always here. Yeah,
come back in the comments on Facebook. I'll share about it on Instagram. I'll put it in the show notes and the description, all your stuff, and in the show notes on the podcast. Everybody, this is Thomas O'Halloran from Six Figure Landscaper Dog. Keith, it's great having you on the show.
It was great, man. I hope to come back again sometime.
All right, later.
Answer me, please. See ya.
Bye. I'll stay on for an extra minute and get to some questions. Long live Nick. If y'all don't mind answering one of my questions, I'm trying to expand on my lawn care business. What's a good way to get more customers? It's called the local market domination strategy. Local, hyper-specific local, not broad, but local market, which is your marketplace, domination strategy, which means you get obsessively focused on hitting the same. I pick a radius, like we have a 6-mile radius that we work in. Now it could be 100,000 people depending on where you live, but go in the neighborhoods that you want to work in, and it's going to cost a little bit of money, but door hangers or flyers, business cards, bandit signs, the ones that you stick in the ground, Facebook advertising. Then you could do direct mail, like Send Jim is postcard mailers that go directly to subdivisions, and you want to hit the same people over and over and over. So you actually get the flyers, flyer the subdivisions, get the bandit signs, stick it in the turnarounds. We're in Michigan, we have turnarounds, or at the U-turns, or at the traffic lights, anywhere where you won't get in trouble or too much trouble. And then in the subdivisions where you want to work in, like these are the types of customers you want to get, stick it literally where the cars are driving in and out. How do you get these bandit signs? They're basically like metal wire with huge chloroplast signs. Like I have a bunch of them. I just ordered some from UZ Marketing. If you go to keithkelfis.com/resources, it's the link in my bio on all my social media channels, or you can go to keithkelfis.com/resources. And it's all the resources that I use to run my business. Scroll down, you'll see UZ Marketing, and you can get huge discounts, and they got phenomenal prices and really good work for all the things that I'm talking about: door hangers, flyers, postcards, bandit signs, all that stuff. You can literally design it right there on the website and then order 50 of them, 100 of them. And then within, I don't know, less than a week, it depends on where you're at in the country, they'll deliver it right to your doorstep. And now you got these beautiful signs. I should go get some and bring them in the next live stream and just start sticking them around all over the place. Be careful with Craigslist. I think when you put your phone number on Craigslist, your business line, I think that stuff is getting scraped and fished and scammed and sold off, because my business line, I don't know about you guys, is getting a bunch of really annoying calls from all over the country. Your auto warranty and all this other stuff too. That's just spam garbage. So, but local market domination strategy. I have a course called the Business Marketing Blueprint. It's keithkelfis.com/BMB. And it's an entire course. It's, how much is it? I think it's $47, and it teaches you how to do all this stuff step by step with very powerful interviews that'll just teach you everything. But keep chugging away and keep chipping away at it and go all in. And before you know it, I mean, you'll have so many customers, you'll be overwhelmed, and that's a good thing. You also do street sweeping. That's awesome. You're running 2 crews this year: CBC concrete lawn maintenance crew and a concrete landscape crew. Beautiful. Should be interesting. Triple E mowing and landscaping services. Did you ever get your Husqvarna fixed, bro? Bro, it was never broken. I thought the motor was blown on my Husqvarna my Rancher 422 20-inch chainsaw. And what happened was the chain inside the sprocket popped off the sprocket, and it ran out of gas. So when I was pulling it, it felt really weird with the compression. And I was like, I thought for sure it was blown. And my friend William literally just put gas in it, popped the chain back on the sprocket. I'm like, dude, I've been starting chainsaws like 10 years and using them all the time. And I just literally jumped to the conclusion I thought it was blown because the way it sounded like so it's fine. It's not broken. Ecological lawn care. Hey, Keith. I met up with you at the GIE after party, and I wanted to thank you again for everything you do. You've helped me inspire me day by day. I really appreciate it, and I wish you all the best of success in your business and in your life. Shaveo Israel. Keith, are you still doing one-on-one conversations? Yes. I do those on Mondays. Actually, today happens to be Monday. If you want to get on the phone with me on a Zoom call, you need help something with in your business, go to keithkelfis.com/call, and then it'll direct you to a Calendly link where we can get on the phone, keithkelfis.com/call. What's up, Phil? Thanks for everything. You're very welcome, and thank you, and thanks for being here. All right, guys, I'm going to jump off here. You can catch the replay on Facebook at Keith Kelfis, or YouTube on my YouTube channel at Keith Kelfis, or if you want to listen while you work, the Untrapped podcast with me, Keith Kelfis, is just hit 600,000, maybe it's at 700,000 downloads, and it's on all the podcast platforms. You can listen to it while you're out working or mowing. We're going to be having a lot of interviews. We've been going live 5 days a week, every day at 4 p.m. right now. I really like 4 p.m. and we got some awesome shows for you. We've had Corey Ballard on from Ballard Products. Next is a Tommy Mello. We're having Joshua Latimer on soon. We just had Thomas O'Halloran from Six Figure Landscaper. We've had Brian Fullerton from Brian's Lawn Maintenance, Naylor Taliaferro from Lawn Care Rookie. We've had Paul Jameson from the Green Industry Podcast. We've had Aaron Parker from the Lean and Mean Academy. Like we've had David Carroll from Dope Marketing. I mean, so I'm just going to keep rolling with this, and let's see who's on tomorrow at 4 p.m. if you want to know ahead of time. Guess who's on tomorrow? 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Lawn Care Nut. Bro, this guy is awesome. Does he have like 500,000 or 600,000 subscribers on YouTube? He's in Florida. He's the dude, and he's very entertaining. He's very intelligent. He's going to be talking about, well, I'll keep it a secret. I'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m., guys. And I really, really appreciate you. And I'm going to get back to work to myself. I got to prepare these quotes for these customers and lock down these landscaping jobs. Peace.